so our mind is affected by the food. And so the yogis experimented what kind of foods have what kind of effect on which chakras, on which glands. And so, on this language, experimented, they categorize foods in foods that are good for body and mind, neutral foods that may be good for body, may be good for mind, or may not be so beneficial to the mind, but not harmful to the body. Or foods that are definitely not beneficial for the mind because of the effects of the chakras. They might even be beneficial to the body for, say, medicinal purposes, but they are definitely not beneficial for the mind. These were the three broad categories that the yogis developed. They called them sattvic food, rajasic food, and tamasic food. Sentient, mutative, and static foods. And the sentient foods, the foods that are good for body and mind, have a strengthening effect on the higher chakras. With the chakras and the glands, there's a hierarchy. Perhaps you're aware. The thyroid gland certainly has a tremendous effect on all the lower glands, and the pituitary gland has a tremendous effect on the lower glands as well. And with chakras, it is even more pronounced. You could say the seat of the mind is in the what's called the Abhya chakra, which is closely related to the pituitary gland. That is the seat of the mind. When someone really thinks hard, they'll be like this. Mind, the mind is located. Mind is everywhere. Where there's life, there is mind. So there's life in our toes and in our fingers. There's mind in every cell of our body. The mind of our metazoic cells. But the concentration, the seat of the mind of our personality, that is located, it is concentrated here. And so the higher glands and the higher chakras have a tremendous influence on the lower glands and the lower chakras. So the sentient foods, the foods that are particularly good for the mind and also good for the body, have a strengthening effect on the higher chakras and on the emotions that are beneficial for spiritual development. Compassion, the emotion of longing for the infinite, devotion, respect. These kind of emotions are related, connected to our higher chakras. And so tamasic foods have a stimulating effect on propensities that are located in our lower chakras. And so by taking sentient food, we strengthen our finer human propensities and emotions. And by taking tamasic food, we actually stimulate emotions and propensities that are not particularly beneficial for spiritual development. So, to give you some examples, sentient food that's really good for the mind and the body, and again, you've heard me speak about that before, vegetables, all kinds of vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds and legumes and milk products. They're good. They're good for the mind and good for the body. I do need to mention about milk products that there are ethical considerations, number one, and number two, there are considerations of the processing of milk products. That is important. When the yogis developed this science, there was not much processing of the milk. The milk came straight from the cow. What's happening now with pasteurizing and homogenizing alters the structure of the milk products considerably, and so the effects also are different. And so foods that yogis say are better to avoid or take in minimum amounts because of their effects on the mind are particularly garlic, onions, mushrooms, and meat and eggs, and of course drugs. Drugs alter a state of mind. It goes without saying. Yeah. So these are the main categories of foods to be avoided. And again, the effect is clear on the glands. That's why in our system, in the system of discipline, Ashtanga Yoga, I should call it, the diet is an important component in the practice of asanas. One needs to follow certain rules and regulations to have the benefits of the asanas. It's just like taking drugs, for example. I mean, prescribed drugs. You have certain rules. How many to take, when to take, before meal or after meal, in what kind of intervals. No, otherwise you might mess things up. Because it's a powerful biochemical effect that you are having on your system. And it's the same with asanas. You are affecting your biochemical household substantially. And so there are rules as to when, in what intervals, how much time should pass before you have eaten, and what to eat and what not to eat. All these things are connected with that. Yeah. So the diet is closely related to the practice of asanas. And so it is of course makes sense to have a diet that is complementary to the effect of asanas. It is a very deep and subtle science. And there are many aspects of this subtle aspect of our body and mind. In Chinese medicine, for example, acupuncture is related closely to the understanding of centers, of energy flows, of subtle energy flows, that when you open up the body, if we cut open the body, we won't find any chakras there. And we also won't find the subtle flows of energy that you can see on an acupuncture chart. You won't find that there. But nevertheless, it exists. That's why they can do all kinds of operations with an anesthesia that is just done by needles. The beautiful thing with asanas is you don't need anything. You don't even need needles. You only need to know how to move. And so that is something that can be learned. And that is something, because it is a subtle, it is a science, just like acupuncture, it is important to learn it and to practice it under the guidance of someone who knows.